Hey Guys, Is This Anything is a comedy podcast that slams bits, barks, and improv together like particles in the Large Hadron Collider. This show may contain strong language and mature themes. Viewer discretion is advised.
Dun 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 dun. Hi, Kaz. Guess what day it is?
It's the Olympics.
It's Olympic time.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome to Hey Guys, Is This Anything? My name's Kez.
I'm Dingy.
Yeah. Welcome to the show. It's the Olympics.
Kez, I was gonna do my Is This Anything, but you don't sound like you're doing all right. What's up, buddy?
It's fine. Just do the Is This Anything. It's fine.
All right. Olympics. Aside Olympics for all the athletes that get injured during the Olympics. And it's called that because they're limping. Is that anything?
Dude. Yeah. Holy. Yeah.
Welcome back to Hey Guys, Is This Anything?
Yeah,
Kez, what's got you down?
I'm fine. I don't know what you're talking about.
It just sounds like you're
actually
going
no.
through it.
I have a problem, and I want to talk about it right now.
Okay.
You're all hyped for the Olympics, and you know what? I would never want to take that away from you. You love the Olympics. You've always said that. You've talked
big
about
Olympic
how
head.
It's your favorite event that occurs every 4 years.
Yeah. Out of the events that occur every 4 years, that one's my favorite.
Of which there's so many. However, I'm upset. I'm angry. Unfortunately, the International Olympic Committee had decided to pull
the
IOC pulled the sport that I was supposed to compete in this year. Last minute, I was supposed to be there, and it didn't happen. And
what sport?
The sport, you know, it's really gaining traction. It's become popular in the last few years. I know with the introduction of skateboarding into the Olympic roster 4 years ago, we really did a push for us in my field to have our sport represented on an international level as well. And that is racing home while you have to shit really bad. Which I think is a respectable sport, which it is. It's racing while you have to shit really bad, which is something that happens to me all the time. So I decided to turn it into a sport. And there are dozens of us that play it around the world, and millions who play it without even knowing that they have the talent for it. So we're trying to get our name out there. We're trying to spread the word. And the IOC had said, you know, we're willing to take a chance on this to help give it some traction at the international level. We're like, yes, that's perfect. And we got the call just the other day that unfortunately they just weren't able to fit it in the schedule. And so I'm here on the podcast. I wasn't supposed to be here today, but.
Well, for one, it kind of sucks that you didn't even tell me about that. Because if you were on it, then I would just be sitting here waiting for you to join the call. But also, can you give me a little layout of I assume it's a field sport. Can you give me a little layout of how everything's sort of arranged? I don't think I've seen this sport before.
Yeah, right now we really don't have funding to create our own infrastructure for the sport, so we are relying heavily on those that already exist. Typically, our NASCAR friends will allow us to utilize their NASCAR stadiums, their racetracks.
So is this like, when you say racing, is this like car racing?
Yeah. Everyone gets in their cars after taking a predetermined amount of laxative that's calculated based on various factors of your physiology so that everyone has the same reaction at about the same time. and then you just start driving, and whoever shits their pants the last wins.
Okay, see, that's interesting. I'll be honest with you, Kaz, I didn't think that that's what it was going to be at all.
I'm curious that what did you think it was going to be?
Well, for one, it's an Olympic sport, so I feel like I'm not saying that you don't have to be physically fit to be a race car driver, because you actually do, but I thought it would be more like you're running from, say you like drive up, stop, and then you got like a 400-meter dash to a little house that's built on the other end of a field.
Okay.
Of like a track and field sort of field.
Okay.
And then you have to dash to that while trying to hold in a big stinky poop.
Okay. Now here's my question. Why can't we have both?
That's a great point. It could be the race that you're talking about, and then combined with, after, I don't know, 50, 100 miles of laps. That's a lot.
Wait, I have an idea. The triathlon. It's where you have to the triathlon. It's where you have to run while having to shit, you have to swim while having to shit, and you have to bike while having to shit. You have to just do a triathlon, but you have to poop really bad the whole time.
The bike one would be the most brutal part. That's the last stretch. That's brutal. That's really that's
the
severe.
Triathlon. Now that I've thought about it, I'm upset that I didn't think about it the other day when I was talking to the Olympics committee, because I'm sure if I had phrased it in that way, they would have totally made room for it.
I think maybe what the IOC's problem is that they were like, oh, well, it's race car driving. That's not really what we do. I think if you were like, it's running, swimming, and biking while having to shit, they'd be like, okay, absolutely, 100%.
Fuck. 4 years. 4 years I'm going to have to wait.
Yeah, 4 years, and then it's time to hit it big.
Here's the other part that people don't consider is part of preparing for this sport is you don't shit. I can't poop for the next 4 years.
Oh no, guys, I don't think you have to do that. I don't think you have to subject yourself to that.
I am ride or die for this sport. I created it. There are dozens of us around the world that participate, and millions of others who think they don't, but they do.
Is the implication that you can only poop every 4 years then? Only for this event?
Okay, if I'm practicing, I could poop, but what's the point?
So you're just not gonna practice?
No, because
for the next one.
I'm so burned by this whole process of trying to get a sport sanctioned by the International Olympic Committee that I've just decided to live a life of shitless pleasure and just die like this, because damn, how dare they?
How dare they? What would for your sport, what would the sort of requests and things be from the IOC? Because like one of the big deals, one of the reason no one wants to host the Olympics is because it's so expensive, because not only do a bunch of countries have to build all these new stadiums and stuff and provide housing and all of that, they also have to cater to the very specific needs of all of the athletes, which, feeding them, stuff like that. But then it also gets into some really weird specific stuff that you can look up. What would be the really weird specific stuff for your sport?
The athletes can't have a bathroom.
Oh, wow. So,
I think is the big one.
So the hotel that they're put up in, not only would they just lock the door to the bathroom, they would remove the bathroom.
Yeah, because what's stopping the athletes from taking a shit and saying that they have to shit?
That's a good... How do you vet that? How do you vet at the end?
Exactly. You just don't give them a bathroom. And then everyone's on the same playing field.
Naturally, they have to poop.
Yeah.
Of course they have to. There's no place to go.
That's the big one. I think the dietary restrictions are the second biggest one. Of course, accounting for people's
high fiber.
People's dietary restrictions. We do find ways for our athletes to maximize their poopage. Yeah, I think those are just the two caveats to having the sport hosted by the Olympics would be, no toilets for these athletes, and just a special diet that everyone has to conform to.
The triathlon, can I throw in a suggestion?
I would love you to. Thank you.
So, we got the three major sports in the triathlon, the running, swimming, and biking. What if the finish line is a toilet? And so, have you ever had to go to the bathroom real bad? And when you open the door and like make eye contact with the toilet, you're like, oh God, it's happening.
You're like, if I do not have my ass on that seat in the next 0.5 seconds, I'm shitting my pants. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we've all experienced that before. Imagine how much, like right at the end when they see, I'm imagining a toilet on a hill for some reason. There's just like a toilet. And the second they see them, the athletes just like start to move. Like they're already fast because they're, of course, athletes. Athletes. But
athletes. Yep. Thank you.
But the second they see that toilet, they like double, triple their speed. And they're like, it's time to go.
And you have to know, because I'm glad that you raised this point, because when our athletes are training, we do have what is called a Browntown blowout, and that occurs just before making it to the toilet. It happens very frequently. That's honestly what most people are training themselves to do, is they're training their their anus to essentially stay closed long enough to make it to the toilet. But yeah, we have what are called Browntown blowouts, and you can just see them scattered around the toilet, and it's just unfortunate to see how many disheartened athletes don't quite make it to the finish line.
It's tough. Do you think instead of a gold medal, it's a brown medal? Maybe it's one of those gold medals, but it's one of the like a chocolate coins.
Dude,
they open it and it's just brown on the inside.
It's still gold, but it's just a toilet seat that they put around your neck.
Oh, that's huge. That's tremendous.
It's still gold, silver, bronze. They're just toilet seats.
They're just toilet seats.
Yeah, that was another thing that they were not willing to concede on. They were like, we have so many logistical nightmares just getting the normal medals. We're not creating gold, silver, and bronze
solid
toilet
gold
seats.
Toilet seat is so much more expensive than all of the other medals.
Here's the thing. I was willing to concede that, but they were not playing ball, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
And so we'll see in 4 years if the triathlon takes shape, if it manifests. I really hope it does. I think myself and the dozens, and I want to emphasize dozens of other registered players around the world, I do think that we deserve representation on the international level. And I hope that the millions of people who unknowingly participate in this sport every year learn about it, so we can start to organize it a little bit better,
We got a whole league going.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential with it. It's something that you already do.
Arsenal. Arsenal? Is that anything?
That's yeah, buddy. That's something. That was great. I'm proud of you.
I just think that if there was like a relatively high level minor league, it'd be Arsenal.
That rules. So what's the big leagues then?
Your Honor, don't have to answer that question.
That question will be one that is sent up to the extreme court.
The extreme court.
Thank you for hearing me. I feel better now that I've been able to talk about it. I'm sorry I was such a downer at the beginning of the episode. Everyone was so excited for the Olympics, and you were excited too, and I just haven't had, the motivation to care. But I know that my sport is not the only sport that was rejected. I know that there are plenty that submit themselves in every year to the committee that are their hopes are dashed, and it's soul crushing.
Just as important.
It is. They're all very important and deserve to be represented. I was going to ask you, do you know about any of those sports?
I do actually. Yeah. So one of the rejected sports is it's a little underground sport that not many people know of. It's called swallowing batteries. And it's basically seeing how many batteries you can get down before it's a physiological problem. And that one was honestly rightfully so rejected from the Olympics this year.
Yeah, the people that were running that campaign to get it in, nicest people. I did see the risk involved with it, and I understood why the IOC didn't pick them up.
Yeah, I totally get it.
In that same camp, there was the team that was trying to get blindfolded plugging in a USB into the Olympics. Because, of course, in order to be blindfolded and get it in the first time without looking, And this, mind you, this is USB-A, not USB-C, because I'm now realizing in the moment that that's no longer a problem that most people have, and it's a very antiquated issue, which is probably why the IOC rejected it.
It's because it's too old. The sport was deemed too old.
It's a depreciated problem.
That sport's big brother, blindfolded U.S. North American standard socket plugging in was also banned due to electrical shock hazard.
No, that was a real one. I know that a bunch of different countries were trying to submit theirs as well in the same vein, and because they could not come up with an international solution to the plug, that's why they axed it. So actually, it's in the best interest for us to find a universal, electric current conveyance system in order to have it in the Olympics, and no other reason.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't really care about the Olympics. I'll be honest with you.
Oh, same. I could not care less. I care about the Winter Olympics when curling is happening.
Curling is a cool sport, but
curling is fun to watch.
I don't see nearly as much excitement around the Olympics as there is like pretty standard sports like football games and stuff, or like baseball. People are so much more hockey, soccer. I'm just listing sports now, but like the sports that happen way more often. And I'm not saying that the sports in the Olympics don't happen often, but I just think when they're in the Olympic setting, people just generally tend to care about them less because I don't actually know. I just think people realize that it doesn't really matter that much.
That's true, because there really isn't any sort of collective prize, because I think once you get to that scale of like, oh, your country has won, it's like, okay, but what about like my city or my state? Because there's less of an attachment.
It's too big
at that level.
Yeah. And especially if people are not particularly, nationalistic. I just think people don't really care that much.
Very
Which is
true.
Like, I don't want to disparage the athletes, because obviously that's very cool that they're, representing their country on a world stage like that. And of course they're way better at their sport than I could ever imagine being.
Yeah.
But I just think that just generally, like compared to, a seasonal football sort of situation, people are way more enthusiastic and stoked about that than they are about this supposedly grand thing that happens every 4 years.
Yeah, and I do think that part of the issue of why people have either lost interest or there really hasn't been an interest is they're introducing sports that are already just so widely known and accepted. I do think if we started introducing lesser known bouts of physical skill and effort, such as the triathlon, I do think that it would garner a lot more attention.
Yeah, I think so too. We need more eyes on ass. That's the campaign we're running now.
We have always been saying that. And
eyes on ass.
That was really kind of what we were going for going into this cycle of campaigning for this sport. And of course, I want to keep things amicable. I respect the IOC's decision. I will be releasing a document on the website later that they sent us. They sent us a letter, and it will be available later for you to read.
I can't wait. I haven't even seen this one. I can't wait.
The audio watchers will also be able to watch it, and I'm very excited about it. So,
yeah, that's going to be tremendous.
On that note, the Olympics, they're happening. But you know what's better than the Olympics? This show, which is why you chose to listen to it instead of watching the Olympics. And I think that is proof in and of itself.
That's right. You can only do one of those two things. So
correct.
Thanks for
and
being here.
If you're not listening to this during the Olympics, this episode's probably pretty funny.
And thanks for listening. Just in general.
Thanks for listening. Okay.
All right. Kez, you wanna do a topic?
I would love to do a topic. Let me. I actually have a topic here I would love to talk to you about. It is bits I do at bars. It's very nondescript. You put no additional information, and I'm very curious what you mean by that.
So this is, first of all, it's bit that I do at bars, because I only have the one thing. Although I would maybe later love to hear more bits to do at bars.
Okay.
Sometimes I go out, like a good coworker. Sometimes I go out with my coworkers and we go to like a brewery or a bar or something just to kind of hang out. And I've kind of gotten into this habit of doing this thing, which definitely, it hasn't gotten me in trouble yet, but it definitely could at some point, because I might slip up and do this at a place where either they, are, I don't know, take this shit way too seriously, or maybe not even in a bar setting. Maybe it's like at an airport. Yeah. When I hand people my ID, and then they, check it, make sure I'm over 21, and they hand it back. When they hand it back to me, I lean over to the, usually like coworker, friend, whatever, right next to me. I'm like, out loud, just, so they can hear it. I'm like, I hope they don't realize that's a fake. And then I put it back in my wallet in my pocket. Most of the time, they like laugh or whatever. They just don't acknowledge it. But I think if I did that, if I slip up and I do that like at an airport,
like
if
in
I'm
a
like
TSA,
flying,
yep.
Yeah, I hand them my passport or whatever, get it back. It's like, hey, I hope they don't realize that's a fake. Just keep moving through.
That is
could be an issue.
It could be. I think most people would read that it's a joke. At least I hope.
Yeah. But I don't think the TSA is really one to joke. Like, I don't think their job is particularly lighthearted.
I think their line of work is very funny. Actually, no, I've changed my mind on it immediately. Their job is hard. It is very difficult. And I appreciate that bit that you do. And I do want to come back to it because I have some additional ideas and places you can do that that are funny. Sorry, my bird just shit all over me. This is
Do we need to stop for a second?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Well, that's interesting that you bring up that the TSA's job is pretty serious, because I see you have a topic here.
That's so funny that you mentioned it, because I actually really did want to talk about this in tandem with your bit that you do at bars. Their jobs are very serious, and I think that there are steps that we can take proactively to ensure that they have fun at their jobs, that they are rewarded for the hard work they do day in and day out. And so I was thinking, why not leave a little treat inside your carry-on?
Oh my God, that says treat. I thought that said threats. It's only a letter difference, but I'm so glad that it just says treats.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
I was like, that's pretty out of pocket, but I want to see where this goes. I'm glad it just says treats.
No, so my intent was leaving treats for TSA agents inside of your carry-on luggage, and I was gonna, also say, hey, just know that this is all funny bits and parody and gags. So, like, government, please chill out. But yeah, if you read it as leaving threats for TSA agents inside of your carry-on luggage, then I really have to emphasize, hey, NSA, this is a comedy podcast.
We're making jokes.
We make jokes and improv, and it's fun. And I do think that your misread is infinitely better. However, I do want to emphasize treats. I want to. Yeah. I want to think of what could you leave in your bag that gets scanned. Okay, 2 issues. 1, I need them to know that the treat is for them. That's the really hard part, is conveying, hey, this thing inside this bag is actually for you as a TSA agent. Please open this bag and take it. And the second thing is, what can I put in there that doesn't signal that me implying they need to take this is a threat?
That's okay. So I'm glad you said that second part, because my response to the first part was going to be something along the lines of like, put it in a metal enclosure that's all like wrapped up in wires. So that they have to like take it. That won't satisfy the second part of what you were saying.
Absolutely not. We have to find something that you can leave inside your bag.
For sure, it needs to be 3 ounces or less if it's a liquid. So we already know that one.
But then again, if it's over 3 ounces and they're already going to take it out, then you can utilize that opportunity.
So I did that on accident once at the airport in Istanbul. Okay. I was flying for work, and I had taken a Coca-Cola, a crisp, sweet Coca-Cola from the airport lounge on my way to to Istanbul. Mm-hmm. And then I was transferring onto a different flight through Istanbul, so I had to go through customs and then security again. And I forgot that I had this can of drink in my backpack. So they sent it through the security scanner, and they stopped it, and they pulled this can out, and the guy just looked at me, and in the sassiest way possible, just wagged his finger at me, was like, no. And then he brought it. I'm pretty sure they just kept it. because I didn't actually see him throw it away because there was like a receptacle to throw it away, but he just like put it back behind the security scanner, like onto the little desk thing.
So
and then I left, but I'm pretty sure I gave him a little treat because he's like, oh, cool.
So you've already done this in Turkey, like you've
unintentionally. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So that's a good one. More than 3 ounces of liquid, I think, is a pretty good maneuver. But I don't think that people always want like a beverage as a little treat, you know? What if it's tough because there's a very fine line you need to kind of walk between something making it look like this is an active threat and something just being, you know, so like passive that they don't even think twice about pulling it out of your bag.
That's why I think that your little anecdote about your Coke can, I think is a great place to start. I think having something in your bag that exceeds the 3 ounces to where they would have to pull it out. And of course, again, we're putting things in that are not threats to.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
So what if we took a chocolate bar or something like that, something that'll like, you know, vaguely show up on the security scanner, but we made it look like a weapon. and I know what you might be thinking. That sounds just like a threat. But no. They pull it out and it's like all wrapped up real nice. They're like, oh, it's just a piece of chocolate. Obviously, we can't put it back in a bag because it has the silhouette. But if we then also put a little note on there, like a little love note, little Valentine's Day card, that's like from Dingy to TSA agent.
I think
and it says, thanks for working hard.
I think affixing a note like that to anything that is weapon shaped is wild.
That might be a bad look. Maybe drop the note for that particular thing. But I do like the idea of the note, because what if it is, you know, February 14th and you happen to have to be flying that day?
Okay.
Do you think it would be out of pocket to give a TSA agent a Valentine's Day gift?
I don't think it's out of pocket to give the agent a gift. I think you can bypass the note entirely. So here's what I'm thinking. So you put your stuff in the little tub that they give you. It starts to go through. You put your, depending on if you fly pre-check or not, you go through the little scanner. And then when you get to the other side, you look back. The agent's already going through your bag. They pull out the chocolate. You look over your shoulder. You say, hey. You give them a wink. You say, that's for you. And then you start walking away without your bag.
Okay.
You just start going to your gate without any of your stuff that you push through security.
So I foresee that being almost worse than putting a chocolate weapon into your bag. Because they pull out the chocolate weapon. They're like, oh, it's chocolate. Like, that's stupid, but okay. We'll take that, I guess.
Hey,
and if you just leave all of your stuff, they're like, there is a bomb in there for sure.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I don't, because you always at the airport, you always hear the announcements about how it's code orange or whatever, and do not leave bags unattended.
Yeah.
Unattended bags may be confiscated or destroyed. If you had your bags and then just left them in security, I think you would get stopped immediately.
I think you're correct.
The second you start walking away without your bags and somebody would clock that, they'd be like, hey, excuse me, please, you left your bags. Hey, stop. And then like before you even get out of the security area, you know how they have the like other TSA agents sitting in their like little elevated platforms just so they can like see everything and like with the cameras and everything. I think one of those would immediately rush out and tackle you to the ground and
fly out from their sentry point and just fucking demolish me.
They would detain you for leaving your bags behind.
Okay, so you're absolutely correct. I guess another idea that I had is maybe not something consumable, but still something that they won't forget.
Okay, interesting. Is this still a gift for them, or is this just kind of just something for, you know, their brain? Okay. Something for their brain.
It's something for their brain, I think. Okay. So they go to open the bag because, of course, we just leave something in there that just looks like an unidentified tube, and it literally is just like one of those party poppers. They open the bag and it just spits confetti out.
It just blasts them in the face. So we couldn't use the actual party poppers because they have gunpowder in them.
Confetti cannon.
But I like or oh my god, what if it was like the worms in a can? When they open the suitcase and a bunch of worms start flying out.
Dude.
And then they're like, oh my god, they're trying to like put the stuff quickly back into the bag, but they just keep coming out, just making this huge scene.
It's just like a chain. It's like one opens and then they just keep opening, and it's just worms for miles. Oh.
What if they opened up your suitcase because they were like, oh, that's weird. It's a lot of empty space with some stuff around the edges. And they opened it up and it's a little diorama of the TSA checkpoint. And there's you dressed in the same clothes that you're currently wearing.
It's just
and there's
two
just
figures that match
an
the
ambiguous
demographics.
TSA agent, that's currently opening a suitcase and looking into this even tinier diorama that's inside of this diorama. Do you think that they would pull you aside and question you about that?
There's no way they don't, for two reasons. One, they have the autonomy to. They're just allowed to question you.
They can just kind of do whatever.
They can kind of do whatever they want. They have full autonomy to do so. And if I were the TSA agent, I would have so many questions that I need answered.
It would be even better if you could somehow figure out who's working at that time and make a perfect replica of them.
That's... It would be funny for the bit, however, at that point, it does
extremely
feel very
creepy,
premeditated.
It's very, very premeditated, very stalkerish. I do, oh my god, I do want to do that at some point, because I think their reaction would just be so funny. It would either be really funny or very poor. And I don't think there's an in-between. I think they would either like lose it and like be like, well, this person cannot get on any airplane from here on out. Or they'd be like, wow, that is the like most whimsical, insane, funny little thing anyone's ever done.
This is the only good day I've had at this job in the 5 years I've been here. Exactly.
Yeah, I really like that. I think that's great. Sort of maybe very vaguely related to that. I did get laughed at by security in Germany when I was a child, because I was flying back from Germany and I was a young kid. But my whole thing growing up was like I would collect miniature models of airplanes.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't want to chuck these bad boys in a check bag because they're very expensive and like they're very fragile. So I put them in my carry-on. So this little suitcase was like basically full to the brim just with these little boxes with metal airplanes in them. And they're like very high quality little airplane models. But it was full to the brim. And I remember seeing the most glorious thing ever on the security scanner display when my suitcase went through, because you could see this perfect little silhouettes of just like a shitload of little airplanes. And like, they're like overlapping and stuff. And there were just so many of them in there.
Yeah.
And then I like looked down at the security guy looking at the display. And he like stops what he's doing. He backs my suitcase back up and then like waves over his I assume like buddy or whatever, another security person. And they stand there for a sec, and then like a cartoon, like a freaking movie, then they both point at the screen and laugh. And then that's when I realized that, oh, I guess they don't think it's particularly cool, and they probably think this kid just has a problem.
That's so mean, though. I want to imagine that they saw it and they were like, that rules. I'm so stoked that this kid brought in something that has completely changed the monotony of our day.
If I was in his shoes, I would have done the exact same thing. That's so funny. And I think it would have really brightened my day, because it's like, that's just so silly. This thing's full of airplanes and we work at the place where the airplanes go. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That was a classic, though. I still think about that too.
Airplanes.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I still think about that, like at least a couple times, and it makes me chuckle, because like that's honestly, I think that was my first real bit. That was my first real good bit. What was it? What do you think your first bit was?
Oh, that's a good question. My first bit was when I came. So much like your first bit, I was coming back from Germany as a child.
Oh.
And
this is when the audience learned that we are the same person.
We are the same person. It could have easily been near the same year too, which is crazy to think about.
That is pretty crazy.
So it's roughly like 2007, I think, for me. I'm coming back from Germany. We had lived there for a while, and we're now living in the United States. And in my mind, being the socially weird kid that I was like, what can I do to stand out? Because I had friends in Germany, not a lot, but, I wanted to make friends and like stand out so people would want to interact with me. So I pretended that I did not speak English for
when you were coming back to America?
When I was coming back to America, because I had not lived in the United States in probably like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And so I had pretty decent German down at that point to where I could hold pretty good conversation. And so I came back, and with a lot of people, I would not speak English because I thought that was interesting. I thought it made me different. And so there were people that were just
It did make you different, for sure.
Yeah, there were people that were convinced I did not speak English and that I was a German transfer student, which is funny to say to you as somebody
who genuinely is a German citizen.
Yeah, I stolen valored your nationality. That was my first bit that I can recall anyway, was that and pretending I won the lottery and convincing people that I won the lottery by sending myself a fake email back in like 2007, 2008 saying I won like $2 million, and people believed me.
That's crazy.
It was a great time.
That's a good bit.
It was a good bit.
I should employ that now. Oh man, that's funny.
Dude, both of those bits were good. I do remember when I broke the German bit, and it was when I started taking a German class.
Whoops.
And it very quickly was apparent that I was not. And I don't think anyone really cared about the bit, like that were invested and were like heartbroken when they found out. They were just like, okay, we knew. Like you weren't obvious.
I mean, those are the best kind of bits, though. Maximum effort, minimal reward. That's my favorite kind of bit.
It truly was, because nothing good came out of me doing that.
Yeah. You put all this effort and all this work in to really commit, and then you get like maybe a laugh, maybe something like, that was weird.
Yeah, the lottery one was cool because people were really nice to me for like a couple weeks.
Oh, so you can see who your real friends are.
Yeah, people were really nice to me, and then I was just like, actually, no, I was kidding the whole time because I realized I couldn't keep it up. And also, it occurred to me very quickly that I was not old enough to win the lottery. Which was not something I had considered, and nobody called me out on the onset, so...
Yeah, to be honest with you, that's something that I didn't even think about, so...
Yeah, so I didn't win the lottery.
I guess they won't just let an actual child win the lottery.
Correct, they would not. That would be wild that they would do that. So yeah, those were my first bits, you could say. And then I really wasn't funny until like 2010, 2011. I think that's when I became funny, was when I became an animal person.
That's when you went through your metamorphosis.
I went through my personamorphosis.
I think it's still metamorphosis.
Yeah, no, you're right. It wasn't anything, and I said it, and it immediately felt like poison on my tongue. So I want to apologize to everyone who had to listen to me say that. You know, I'm just going to quit the podcast. Yeah. What if I just quit?
What if I just gave up?
What if I just gave up right now? What if I just left the call?
Episode.
What if I just
episode 7, last episode?
What if I just left the call and never came back?
Actually, hold on. This is technically episode 6. Episode 6/7.
Oh, this
anyway,
bit is never gonna be funny. This bit sucks.
Missed it last week, but
that's okay. Last week.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you had bits as a child. I think I had unintentional bits. I think I would, like most kids, just do shit that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But like you didn't even realize that it was funny at the time.
I was obsessed with and I'm gonna out my sisters in this as well. They were accomplices in this. This is wild that I'm saying this because I don't think we've ever spoken this into fruition to another soul. When we lived in Germany, we had very broad imaginations as children. And we were like, what if we weren't actually people and we were animals?
Okay.
And so
this started from an early age.
It did. It really did. And so we would.
I have a similar thing, but okay, yeah, go perfect.
On. Our whole thing was invoking our animal forms, and it really was about what you would expect kids who are pretending to be animals would do. the typical running around on all fours. But the way that we invoked it was horrifying. It was a Super Saiyan-esque transformation in order to get into that headspace, which did involve a lot of like physical flailing of your limbs and screaming, which in hindsight, we looked pretty wild.
This is crazy because my story's not that dissimilar.
Oh, I would love to hear yours.
What was real quick? What was your animal when you were a child?
I was either a wolf or a dog for sure.
That checks out. That makes a lot of sense. Mine was I would do this thing with my growing up. I think my best friend was like my next door neighbor, and so we would sometimes like go to the park, and we would like go through this deep, rich narrative, for a kid about like this one like character that would transform into a dragon.
Oh.
And it was very similar to transformation, where it would be a lot of screaming and flailing around. All I can really remember that clearly from those days is that at the end of it was like real tragedy. Like we did this for weeks.
Yeah.
During the summer. Like we would go to the park almost every day and then just like do this for a couple hours.
Real same.
And like, yeah, there was this like whole narrative, this whole like basically like role playing these characters. I remember how it ended because this is the last time I can recall ever doing this. There was like, we dug a little hole in the sand and then it was some conflict and my character like perished. And so I was just like curled up in this little hole in the sand.
Oh.
And then I narrated like while I was laying on the ground. And the last thing you see is a little twinkle in his eye, implying that I was in fact still alive.
Incredible.
But yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that was.
I used to bury my head in the sandbox. When you talked about sand, I remember that very clearly. Now we had a park in our little village that we lived in. And there was this little sandbox, and I would literally just stick my head in a hole and just bury it and just hang out there. I thought that was fun.
That's crazy.
It was a good
time.
That's
wild. That's wild behavior.
Yeah, well, I wasn't in my right mind, as you could tell.
Yeah, that's fair. I hated getting sand in my ears, but I can kind of feel that vibe. When you like dig down far enough and you get to like the wet sand, like the moist sand that you can like shape into things.
Yeah, like the fun sand.
I always love getting down to that level and then like carving these little like worlds into the ground, which was just like me making little overhangs and stuff. And be like, look, that's a house.
I feel like you and I had just the same experience growing up because I did the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's wild.
We're just the same. Turns out we grew up together.
We're just that'd actually be crazy. That's wild. We're learning a lot today.
We're learning a lot about each other today. Today is a very retrospective episode, I'm noticing.
Yeah. Did you want to do another topic?
Yeah, we kind of just like were really just riding the wave of going topic to topic. I don't know where we stopped.
I think that we only started with my bit at bars. Then we transferred to your TSA thing. And then we wrote that for a good while. And then I talked about getting made fun of at the airport by the security guys in Germany. And then you were talking about Germany.
Oh, we were talking about our
bits.
And
now we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we were talking about first bits. This is crazy. I've never had this seamless of a
we just kind of went.
We just kind of went. We went for a good like 30 minutes straight there just talking about shit.
You know what? That's crazy. Listeners, you can go ahead and clap for us. We'll give you a second.
Yeah, go ahead and clap.
Yep. You can't hear it because it's on the soundboard.
I can't hear it.
No,
I can't hear it.
That's okay. It's funnier without. Thank you for your applause, audio listeners and audio watchers. Also, if you genuinely clapped when we told you to, sub behavior. Anyway, back to topics. I want to do this one because I don't think that it's anything, but I feel like
that looks great. We
can make it something.
Okay, so this I'm gonna read it out. This is one of your topics, and it just says lying about your birthday, and in parentheses it says I feel like I lost the plot on this one.
Yeah.
So do you have anything for this, or is this just something we gotta forge from nothing?
No. So I was thinking of in what situations would lying about your birthday either be catastrophic or situationally hilarious? Of course, there's
Okay.
the old gold trusted lying about your friend's birthday at a restaurant so that way they get sung to and embarrassed. I think that's just a classic.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a classic.
I'm a big fan of that one, of putting people in an awkward social situation for my entertainment.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's a really good thing for friends to do. I do also think lying about your birthday could be very funny depending on like what year you put it in, when you're very obviously not born in that year.
Yeah, so if I were to go up to someone and be like, hey, yeah, my birthday is actually, like June 4th, 1965 is when I was born. I think the problem with this is that unless you like 100% like double, triple, quadruple down and just like start forging documents and like just commit the hardest you possibly can. Like you basically need to forget about your real birthday and just fully accept in your own life that like, yeah, I'm actually 70 years old or whatever.
Yeah, I see what you mean, because in your circumstance that you just mentioned, you just walked up to a random stranger and said, hey, by the way, my birthday is this wild random date, which they did not ask you to know what your birthday was.
That's a crazy thing to do in general. That's kind of a flex though. If you went up to someone like, hey, it's my birthday today.
And what if they said, no, you weren't?
If that was the response
if you said I was born in
me
this year,
saying I'd be like, I guess not. Shit.
Would you commit to it?
It's worth the try.
Would you double down or would you commit to the bit?
Here's the thing. If I were to think about this like genuinely, I wouldn't even do the bit because that's too much. That's too much talking to strangers that I don't know.
Fair.
In my brain, I like the idea of being like, yeah, it is. Arguing with someone about something that doesn't matter is pretty funny.
I love it because there's really nothing else. There's no long-term repercussions, I think.
No.
I think having a good debate about nonsensical things is a great way to practice debate and just arguing in a healthy way. So I do think lying about your birthday, then again, I do think there's a lot of legal implications that could be an issue about lying about your birthday.
If you lied about your birthday, like I'm currently in the process to get global entry, mostly just for work. If I were to lie to them and be like, no, my birthday I'm actually, 35 now, I think they'd be like, what are you trying to do? We know that's not when your birthday is. We know you're trying
to run for president, okay? You don't have to say you're 35.
Yeah. If they have literal like records that show that I'm not, but I just keep being like, no, those are, I don't know where you got those, but they're wrong.
That's a good point. How
much of an age difference between your lied about birth date and your actual age? How much of a difference does there have to be when it, before it leaves the realm of
possibility?
This is suspect. Yeah. Because if I say I was born in the 60s, like clearly, no, I wasn't. That's, is this a bit or whatever? But if I was like, yeah, no, I was born in 89. Someone could buy that. But then if someone figures out that you weren't actually, they'd be like, why are you lying about your birthday? What's your goal here?
What a crazy thing to lie about just off rip. You're meeting someone and it's immediately just like you're talking about your ages and it's like, oh yeah, I'm 35.
How would you get out of that situation? Once someone figures out, or like you start, another person that knows you better comes up and is like, no, you aren't.
Well, it's like this. Do you remember how old I am?
34.
Oh.
Did I get it?
No.
Oh shit.
34, huh?
Is it 35?
Why do you keep going up?
For some reason, I thought that this is hearkening back to the last episode. I thought for some reason that you said within a year, like you were a year away, because that wasn't
4 years. I'll be eligible to be president because I'm 31.
You see where the confusion lies.
I do. It is very funny that you thought I was mid-30s, though. I appreciate it.
I got no excuses. I knew that you were 31.
Yeah, but like I could say that I'm like 28, 29 and probably get away with it.
Yeah.
I could say
People would
I'm
totally
mid-30s
believe
and
that.
get away with it. That being said,
How old? I look a lot older than I actually am. Mostly because I'm going bald and I grew out a beard and I'm just kind of like, I don't take care of myself that well. So I just look kind of old. And so a lot of I was kind of insulted by this guy. He didn't mean to. And I like actually didn't. I didn't take it as an insult, but I think a lot of people would. I was talking to like one of the clients I have at work, and we were just like shooting the shit. And he was like, "How old do you think I am?" And I was like, "Oh, you look pretty good. I don't know what, like mid-30s, high 30s maybe." And he was like, "I'm 42 years old." And this guy is like super fit. He had a super young sort of complexion.
yeah.
And then I was like, "Well, how old do you think I am?" He was like, "I thought, let me think about that. I think you're about my age."
Oh.
And I was like, damn,
Damn.
yo. Damn. No, actually, I'm 26. And like, I thought it was funny, and he like panicked because he was like, I just insulted this guy that I barely know. And I was like, no, like actually it's fine. Like, though I know I look a lot older than I am.
You also carry
but, like,
yourself as somebody
crazy.
who is could be in their 30s. For sure.
I have a great idea for a bit. The next time someone asks you to guess their age, just go way too high.
Just fuck it up entirely.
Just, yeah, like someone that's like, I don't know, let's say like 31. Guess that they're like in their mid 50s and just kind of see what happens. No, you know what? Because that's almost insulting. If you were like, how are you 72? 72 years old? And they're like, what? In what world do I look like someone that's 72 years old? I just think that if you just massively over or undershoot someone's age, they'll just be confused. They won't be like insulted or flattered if it's younger.
Yeah, because nobody
they'll just be like,
assume
how?
that you actually think that they're 40 years above their actual age.
Yeah.
At least that's the hope anyway. You would run into the one person that would believe that.
I probably would, yeah. What if someone did that and they were very clearly like middle age, and I was like, oh, you 16? You graduate high school yet?
Damn. Yeah.
You infant child. What are you, 4 years old?
I don't know what changed in the last I don't know. I want to say 5-6 years, where before then, let's say like 2018, 2019, I was 20. Oh God, how old was I? 25, 26. I was still, mistaken as somebody who could have still been in high school, as somebody who wasn't old enough to buy cigarettes.
You do look pretty young.
Thanks. I don't look as young anymore, apparently, because there's never a doubt. There's never a question that I'm old enough to buy a beer or cigarettes or just.
Well, when I met you for the first time, I actually thought that we were just the same age.
Most people do.
Or, around the same age. Yeah.
Thanks. It's the estrogen. It's actually why I'm taking hormones, is because I just am so scared of looking old.
Not for any other reason.
Not for any other
you're going
gender
through this whole
dysphoria
treatment
reasons.
just to look young.
It's literally just to avoid aging at all costs, which I think honestly would also be a valid reason to just start HRT for anybody. I believe in recreational hormone treatment. That's my radical policy that I want to invoke here.
Just for fun.
I think anyone should just be allowed to.
I felt like changing it up
Why
a little bit.
It's so inconsequential. Let the people have their hormones.
Sounds like stuff that we should have included when we were running for president last
thinking
episode.
about it now, but it's also like that also does get very topical because it actually is a major problem that they're trying to take hormones away.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's joking, but it's also real. I think everyone should just try it.
Just give it a go.
Just give it a go. If you, it literally, if you don't like it when you try it, no lasting effects, but it's fun. It's great.
What if for health supplements, I'm just kind of taking what you were saying. What if we put nicotine in there?
Oh,
and made it addictive. Like, what if, because people never taken enough vitamins, what if we put nicotine in their vitamins so that they get
so they become
addiction?
They become substance addicted to. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I like this. As somebody who I quit nicotine like 40 days ago. I'm 40 days clean off the nicotine.
I didn't know that. Good for you.
Thanks. It's been miserable. It's rough.
That's fair.
But quitting smoking,
that's fair.
Quitting vaping, quitting nicotine in general, I have an addictive personality. I have a history of dependency with substances. So I do think that it can be used. It does make me wonder, can you use addiction for good?
Yeah. Like, say a child that hates brushing their teeth.
Are you suggesting we microdose children with nicotine to get them to brush their teeth?
When you put it that way, it sounds bad. But think about the benefits in the long term.
Yes. Okay, we microdose children with nicotine.
Let's face it, they're going to start vaping anyway.
That is true.
What's it fucking matter?
That is true. Okay, so the question, I guess, would be, do they even need to vape if they're already getting their nicotine from brushing their teeth?
What if... Now, would that start a whole different problem where they start brushing their teeth too much and they start like tearing up their gums and wearing down their
gums
teeth?
And enamel because they're brushing too much because they're fiending. Oh.
They're like, yeah, I'm fiending for a quick brush. And like, instead of the Zins, they're just like going out back, or just going to the bathroom and quickly brushing their teeth.
They're just like eating toothpaste.
Yeah, oh man. Once they realize that they could just eat the toothpaste, that's not going to be good for anyone. That's not good for anyone.
Dude, this rules. And if anybody is going to get mad on behalf of addicts, shut the fuck up. Sincerely an addict. Because that shit's funny.
It's just pretty good.
That shit rules. Oh God, dude.
All right. Well, we should probably wrap this one up.
That was a great topic point to close out on. Let's think of some Is This Anythings. I think that's fun.
Yeah, I got one in the chamber. If you want to hear it.
I do want to, before you hit us with your Is This Anything, a reminder, you're listening to this episode on a Friday.
It's Friday today.
It is Friday today. We have adjusted our upload schedule to account for, our lives happening and tornadoes wrecking my town.
Will famously occur on Sundays.
Which I can't explain why everything happens in this world when we record this podcast. Anywho. So won't be happening Mondays. It's going to be Fridays. Again, we also have our email open for people to submit their Is This Anythings. It's heyguysisthisanything@gmail.com. If you have an Is This Anything you think would be good for the show, please consider sending it in so that way we don't have to spend so much time thinking painfully at the end of every show. Because I'd love to hear from the community and see if you guys have anything that you think is funny that we can share. On that note, I think that covers our housekeeping. Let's get into some Is This Anythings.
Yeah, and again, that email address and things will be down in the description. Steve Hardy, a mix between Steve Hardy from Family Feud and the Hardy Boys. Is that anything?
You mean Steve Harvey?
No, Steve Hardy, though. It's a mix between Steve Harvey from Family Feud and the Hardy Boys.
Okay.
It's a mixture. It sounds like that's nothing, guys. So you can just...
I'm more upset that you had that one locked and loaded.
Okay. Well,
it's fine.
Then you give me one.
It's fine. Okay.
The silence. Is the silence here? Is this anything? Because that's quite literally nothing. Well, I got another one if you want me to. Actually, hold on. Why don't I'll send you one. How's that sound?
You're going to send me one to say out loud?
Yeah.
It's funny because I cut out so much of the silence, so all they're going to hear is like a second or two of silence and then you making fun of me for silence. Because they don't understand how much silence gets cut out of these episodes.
Yeah. Go ahead, because this one sounds like a real fucking ripper.
I have one. It's crazy. It just came to me as if by divine intervention. Hey, Noah's Arch. It's a Bible-themed McDonald's. I guess you could say Noah's Arches. Is that anything?
I think that's something.
I think there is potential there. I think there's potential to discuss that on the next episode of Hey Guys.
Hey guys.
Is this anything? All right. Stay safe. Stay in school. Or don't.
Bye.
Bye.